From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
The U.S. seeks help from the WTO over retaliatory tariffs, new life in NAFTA talks, a sea of green in North Dakota wheat fields.
We're very optimistic about this year's crop.
And agribusiness wading into milk markets.
When you look at the milk production, it's still a record pace, and that concerns me.
And a plastics revolution on Wisconsin farm.
AgDay, presented by the Chevy Silverado. High-strength steel for high-strength dependability.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. The trade rhetoric continues to heat up as the U.S. officially files complaints with the World Trade Organization. On Monday, the U.S. Trade Representative's Office announcing disputes at the WTO against China, the European Union, Canada, Mexico, and Turkey. The complaints challenging the retaliatory tariffs implemented by each WTO member in response to the administration's actions on steel and aluminum. USTR's Robert Lighthizer saying the steel and aluminum duties are justified under international agreements, adding that the retaliatory duties are completely without justification under those international rules. Lighthizer saying, quote, "These tariffs appear to breach each WTO member's commitments under the WTO agreement. The United States will take all necessary actions to protect our interests, and we urge our trading partners to work constructively with us on the problems created by massive and persistent excess capacity in the steel and aluminum sectors." Meanwhile, China filing its own case at the WTO in protest of the president's plan to add an additional $200 billion in tariffs on Chinese imports. China says the 6,000 product list is illegal and protectionist. The list targeting everything from seafood and vegetables to stone, metals, and plywood. President Trump spending time in Europe to start the week. While there, the president listing the EU as an economic foe on trade policy during an interview. The president saying the bloc is one of the U.S. biggest global adversaries based on their actions around trade. The EU strongly disagreeing. EU Council President Donald Tusk taking to Twitter saying America and the EU are best friends. Whoever says they are foes is spreading fake news. Back in North America, Mexican officials saying they remain committed to working at an accelerated pace to reach a successful NAFTA renegotiation as soon as it's possible. The current newly elected leadership in Mexico pledging to work as a united front to finish that deal. Lingering NAFTA 2.0 issues include investor-state dispute settlements and a sunset clause and market access for dairy in Canada. Farmers in New York say the stress of these negotiations are already impacting relationships across the border.
The border is not nearly as open as it was. That business is not happening. We would have dairy farmers just come with a bale of hay, a big square bale of hay in the back of their pickup truck and say, hey, grab a chunk out of with your hand, feel it, let me know what you think. I've got 2,000 more, give me a call and I'll bring you a load. That's not happening. Things are just shut down. And it's pretty sad.
USDA rolling out a new crop progress report Monday. July weather and crop conditions, a major concern here mid-season. The corn condition rating dropped 3 points last week. 72% is called good to excellent. In the Corn Belt states, Nebraska leads the way with 86% good to excellent. And there was a major jump in the silking category with 63% in that stage. That's 26 points ahead of last week and of the 5-year average. Now soybeans with similarly impressive gains, 26% now setting pods, 15 points ahead of last week and the 5-year average. 69% called good to excellent. That's down 2 points from last week. Winter wheat harvest, it hit 74% this week, just ahead of average. Now as far as spring wheat goes, 80% is good to excellent. In New England, wheat harvest rolls on. Farmers say it's been dry since May, but yields held together.
The wheat was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I think our average was right around 85 bushels, so I really can't complain when I thought we were going to have 50 bushel of wheat on some of it, but it seemed to pull through.
In North Dakota, some farmers are looking at the potential for big yield numbers from their spring wheat. That's a big change from last year when drought devastated the crop. Producers say weather conditions have been almost perfect since the seed went into the ground. Cliff Naylor from KFYR reports on a crop with a lot of potential.
Lance and Dennis Renner have never seen anything like this.
Had quite a few spikelets on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Be about 14 to 16 spikelets on there.
These heads could produce 50 bushels of wheat an acre.
It's the nicest crop I ever seen.
All across the state, farmers are seeing similar wheat stands. USDA is estimating North Dakota's wheat crop could average 48 bushels an acre, which would equal the state's best ever production.
We're very optimistic about this year's crop, and we'll see what happens. As growers say, it's not made till it's in the bin.
The growing season is far from finished, and Jim Peterson, the marketing director for the State Wheat Commission, says disease or an extended stretch of heat could still hurt the crop.
Everything's looking great.
North Dakota farmers planted 7.7 million acres of wheat this year. Now, all they have to do is wait and hope favorable weather conditions continue for a few more months. I'm Cliff Naylor, reporting for AgDay.
A drought damaged much of the state's wheat crop last year when farmers on average yielded only 39 bushels to the acre. In crop comments, we stop in Alabama and Texas with stories of two weather extremes. Here's Mike Hoffman. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Clinton. Let's start off in Tumbleton, Alabama. Jason Burke says he's ready to harvest any day now if the weather allows it. He says moisture was at 24% a week ago. He believes this field will average 260 to 270 bushels per acre. And Dr. Jordan Bell, who's an agronomist with Texas A&M AgriLife, sent this photo showing what's left of a cotton field in Gray County, Texas. That's due east of Amarillo. That Panhandle County is covered in extreme and severe drought. Taking a look at the wind speed forecast, you can see not a lot of it. A few spots in some of the thunderstorms from the plains into the Great Lakes this morning. Heading through the afternoon, parts of the Great Lakes, parts of the west, seeing a little bit of wind. And then as we head through the day tomorrow, still not a very windy day. A few spots here and there, breezy in the morning, but as we head through the afternoon, a little bit more into the northern Rockies and a few spots in the southern Mississippi Valley. We'll have your forecast coming up, but first here's some hometown temps.
Plan for the unexpected with weather forecast updates. Local forecasts are delivered right to your cell phone each morning, making planning a little bit easier. Just text Weather 6 to 31313 to get started.
All right, when we come back, we'll jump into milk markets and dairy prices with Brian Doherty at the Agribusiness Desk and finding new use for farm plastic. In agribusiness, markets starting strong this week. Let's see how things closed Monday from the folks in Chicago.
Cattle was rising and started to build some momentum, and with the better than expected cash trade that really ended on Friday, gave the market a boost today. Interestingly enough, we was building momentum all day and really did hit limit up. One of the reasons why the markets are moving as strong as they are is because they are very thin. Many traders have moved to the sidelines and opened the doors to a lot of volatility. Now, meat packers did pay lower than last week, but it's still higher overall. The hogs did slip today. The pork values, the carcass values really continued to erode and really stepping on the neck of the futures. The physical hog prices just showed a weaker outlook really for the next couple of months and for the rest of the summer, and it makes it very difficult to keep these futures higher. Soybeans rebounded. Concerns of increased U.S. stocks has the market really on the rise, and it's up double digits. It was up almost 17 cents and definitely offering some relief to some traders. But yet it established a new low when the market first started. Commercials have been long overall, but the market has been oversold, really looking for some kind of buying. That's all from the floor at the CME Group. Here in Chicago, I'm Virginia McGathy.
Brian Doherty, Stuart Peterson, our guest here at the Agribusiness Desk. Brian, the dairy market has had a pretty tough 2018. Yep. Any hope on the horizon there?
A lot of hope. You got to love the export market. You got to love a lot of things, but we've got this tariff stuff hanging over the marketplace.
Again, NAFTA.
NAFTA,
that whole thing.
And so those are near-term issues. When you look at the milk production, it's still at a record pace, and that concerns me. So rallies, we'll see them, but they probably will be treated defensively by the market. That is, there'll be additional hedge pressure. This last go-around, too, we saw milk take forever to peak its head over $17, and it lost it really quickly. So, it was right with the grain trade. Everything else fell over. Milk went right with it. Look for stabilization. Look for some recovery. I can't get myself to be bullish, though. You've got too much cheap available feed, and it looks like that'll be the case this fall.
Yeah.
And producers, they're hurting, but I don't know if there's been enough pain in that industry to say we're contracting.
Right, to start selling off some of those cows, and beef prices aren't necessarily pulling them off, off the parlor out of the
They're
line
not,
there.
and there's a gray area when producers either make a little money or lose a little money, but they're not losing enough to contract, so you do what you do best. You produce more.
Right.
And so it makes sense from a micro level, your farm, but when you add or your farms together, obviously you get the macro, which is just too much production to be absorbed, and consequently get these languishing prices. You get rallies along the way, but you're also subject to sell-offs.
Right,
Now, that's what really concerns me.
If we flip over into 2019,
yeah,
any chance of this changing, this dynamic? We know it's a very cyclical market.
I think there's a lot of chance for it to change. I really do, because prices haven't been good. The capacity to I want to say packer capacity, the capacity to handle milk at processing plants is limited.
Right.
Low prices are worldwide. So you've got some real opportunity for demand to come swinging into these markets and push milk prices higher into 19, probably after the first quarter. But that's a ways off.
It's a ways out. You got to get there.
That concerns me for in the short term, though. We're struggling. I'm not necessarily bearish, but I'm cautious.
Cautious. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, Brian. We'll be back with more AgDay in just a minute.
To discuss marketing strategies, call 800-334-9779 or visit stewartpeterson.com. AgDay, brought to you by new Delaro fungicide for corn and soybeans. Achieve personal best yields.
Welcome back to AgDay. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman looking at this cold front that's a cool front, I guess. It's not cold. Moved through the middle of the country. Yeah, in July. But with it, drier air, although some places it needs some rain here.
Yeah, there are places that didn't get the rain out ahead of this front. That was your last shot for 2 or 3 days at least. As the warm front comes back, though, we will see some increasing chances from west to east. And this will be a situation starting in the western plains and the northern Rockies where you get these big nocturnal complexes of thunderstorms that develop and move off to the east or southeast out ahead of a warm front. They develop at night. That's why they're nocturnal thunderstorms, and they're going to be using some of this moisture that we typically get this time of year into the southwest, that monsoonal moisture. We also have this feature close to New Orleans there, just offshore anyway. That's going to have a fair amount of tropical moisture with it, and that will increase your chances for showers and thunderstorms close to that area of low pressure. Now, putting the maps into motion, you can see this first cool front up and down the middle of the Appalachians by later on today, so showers and thunderstorms out ahead of it, spotty through the southeast. There will be a little activity again to the northeast of this warm front from time to time as we head through the next couple of days. The low pressure system in the southwest will continue to draw in both Pacific and Gulf moisture, and that will increase the chances each afternoon for a shower or thunderstorm. Now, heading through the day tomorrow, you can see this warm front does actually start to move, so that increases the chances for showers and thunderstorms out ahead of this warm front and along the warm front as we head through the afternoon from northeastern Montana all the way down to Arkansas, and that will slowly come back eastward as that area of low pressure drags it east as we head toward the end of the week. So that will be your next chance in the Corn Belt to get some moisture. Precipitation estimate over the past 24 hours, you can see the eastern Corn Belt. Some areas got some yesterday. Spotty through the southeast. We had that complex, like I talked about, parts of Nebraska moving into parts of Kansas. But again, that just kind of depends on exactly where those develop and where they move. Heat's still on in the southern plains, triple digits for parts of Oklahoma and northern Texas. Cooler, more comfortable air, though, coming into the northern plains and the Great Lakes, and that will continue to spread southeastward. We're talking lows close to 50 in Sault Ste. Marie, maybe upper 40s in spots, but 60s, low 60s all the way down to the Ohio River Valley. Highs tomorrow still going to be pretty hot in many parts of central Texas, but a lot more comfortable across most of the Corn Belt. There's the jet stream. You can see that trough that's bringing in that cooler air moving off to the east. Another trough digs in by this weekend, so there could be some moisture with it, followed by more cool air, and we have another trough coming in. This is the pattern heading into the rest of July. The ridge out west, trough in the east. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. First of all, from Medford, Oregon, sunshine and very hot today, high of 104. Waco, Texas, mostly sunny, hot and humid, high of 106. And finally, Vincennes, Indiana, partly sunny, warm but less humid, high around 87.
We'll talk more dairy news next on the Dairy Report, and we'll head to the dairy state where farmers are finding new life for feed storage. Dean Foods is preparing to close milk plants in Illinois and Kentucky this September. Now, according to our partners over at milkbusiness.com, members of the Dairy Farmers of America supplying those plants can rest easy. DFA saying it's working to identify alternative markets for the DFA members impacted by that Dean Foods decision. The cooperative saying that ultimately their farmer members will still have a market for their milk. The latest supply and demand estimates from USDA expect Chinese tariffs to ultimately impact dairy exports. The agency rolling back expectations for 2018 and 19 for exports of skim milk powder and whey products. USDA expecting Class 3 and Class 4 prices to fall in 2018 and 2019. That's compared to last month. The 2018 all milk price forecast ranges from $15.95 to $16.25 and from $16.25 to $17.25 per hundredweight in 2019. Now, farmers in the Northeast say prices are making things tough.
To answer the question, yes, sir, we're losing members. Pretty routinely, we'll have members that are canceling because of economics on their operation. Do I think it's going to continue? Yes. I don't think there's any of our farms that have left production in New England or New York that are moving some. Basically because there's really no market for their milk, to be honest with you. You can't leave New York and go somewhere else and probably find a market very easily. That's the biggest challenge.
Now in Wisconsin, dairy farmers are exiting the business at a rate roughly 30% higher than last year. From January to June, 338 farms stopped milking. Cow numbers, however, are only down about 1,000 head. And it's not just milk, but butter prices. They're melting too. According to the latest global dairy trade results, butter prices are weakening, falling 4% in early July. However, they're still nearly double the 5-year low from August of 2015. Demand expected to remain strong through the rest of this year. Now, one reason for the strong demand, the resurgence of butter in cooking. New research from the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston says seniors eating full-fat dairy products such as whole milk, yogurt, and cheese are no more likely to die than those who don't eat these products. There's also evidence that those who consume full-fat dairy products have a 42% lower risk of dying from stroke. Now, the study followed nearly 3,000 adults aged 65 or older for 22 years. The research supported by the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute. Plastic feed storage, a common sight in the dairy state. We'll show you how it's not ending up in the landfill.
In the Country, sponsored by Kubota's full line of field-proven hay tools. Explore the full lineup at Kubota.com or visit your local Kubota dealer today.
There's a revolution of sorts in Wisconsin thanks to a plastics recycler in Arkansas. A company called Revolution Plastics takes old plastic feed bags, which are very common on dairy farms, and is giving them new life. We get details in this video provided by the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin.
Revolution Plastics' mission is to help preserve farmlands. 2 years after launching its ag plastic recycling program here in Wisconsin, the company has recycled over 40 million tons of ag plastic.
We have less plastic blowing around the countryside. We've got less plastic going into the landfill. So the feedback has been very positive.
Mitch Breinig has been with the program from the beginning and sees the benefit of recycling the plastic he uses to cover his feed bunkers at Mystic Valley Dairy in Sauk City.
I think it's really important that we recycle this plastic. You know, a couple of reasons. I hate to see plastic flying all over the countryside, but you know, putting this in the landfill, I think it's not great for the carbon footprint of dairy, but if we can recycle it, I think it's really good.
Over 5,000 farms in Wisconsin are currently part of the recycling program. Recently, Revolution Plastics acquired a warehouse in Madison where the plastic is collected, baled, and then shipped to Arkansas where it is cleaned and turned into post-consumer resin.
The post-consumer resin, which is made from the silage plastics from Wisconsin, can go into trash can liners, construction film, agricultural film, polytube irrigation, just a number of things that it works great in.
And while the program is beneficial for consumers, farmers see a definite benefit as well.
Recycling the plastic keeps the farm so much cleaner. We just routinely pick it up, you know, as we use it, we pick it up, we put it in the recycling bin to, you know, have it collected. It's not our land, it's the land that we're using, and we just want to use it, take care of it, and pass it to the next generation.
And that's Wisconsin Dairy News.
The process for cleaning and recycling ag plastic is twofold. It must first be shredded and washed, and then melted down and turned into usable plastic resin. That's all the time we have this morning. I'm sure glad you tuned in. Spend part of your day with us. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.